All right, let's talk about gut health. Today, we're unpacking the actual science behind your microbiome to see how everyday, normal foods can do exactly what those wildly expensive supplements constantly claim to do. If you're tired of all the confusing wellness trends and you just want a clear, evidence-based path to feeling better, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to explore how to literally transform your internal ecosystem using simple, completely accessible ingredients. Okay, let's dive into this. Do you really need those incredibly pricey gut cleanses, the detox teas, or those heavily marketed probiotic pills to achieve optimal health? I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry built entirely on the premise that you do. But honestly, you don't. The ultimate, most affordable solution is actually already sitting right in your local grocery store. Today, we're stripping away the myths and diving into the real science.
So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the gut health hype, unpack a major microbiome breakthrough from Stanford, break down probiotics versus prebiotics, and then look at the top fermented and fiber-rich foods to help you build a solid gut habit. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The gut health hype. Fact versus fiction in the wellness aisle. We know the internet loves a magic cure-all, but we're going to bypass all that overhyped buzz to find what actually works. Moving to Section 2, the Stanford Microbiome Breakthrough, Clinical Evidence for Fermented Foods. Let's get straight into the hard data. So, researchers over at the Stanford School of Medicine recently ran this truly groundbreaking trial. They wanted to see exactly how fast real food could reshape our internal ecosystem. They took 36 healthy adults, randomly assigned them to a 10-week diet. One group went high fiber, the other went high in fermented foods. They tracked everything from baseline testing in week 1 through their adaptation phase, all the way to week 10. And the results for the fermented food group? Absolutely astonishing. In just 10 weeks, eating a diet rich in fermented foods triggered a massive increase in overall microbial diversity.
But you know what? The increase in microbial diversity wasn't even the wildest part. Researchers found that 19 different inflammatory proteins floating around in the blood samples of the fermented food group just completely plummeted. This actually includes a protein called interleukin-6, which is heavily linked to nasty stuff like rheumatoid arthritis, type 2 diabetes, and chronic stress. Just by tweaking their diet for 10 weeks, these people tangibly lowered systemic inflammation in their entire bodies.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true power of nutrition. As Dr. Justin Sonnenberg, the lead researcher on this trial from Stanford, put it, this is a stunning finding. It provides one of the first examples of how a simple change in diet can reproducibly remodel the microbiota across a cohort of healthy adults. Think about that for a second. We're talking about clinically significant remodeling of your body's entire internal ecosystem, simply by eating the right things.
Section 3. Probiotics versus prebiotics explained. The bugs and the food. To really make this work for us, we got to understand the biology behind it.
Now, while that Stanford trial heavily highlighted the immediate benefits of fermented foods, fiber is just as crucial for the long haul. It helps to think of this whole setup as the bugs and the food. Probiotics are the live, beneficial bacteria colonizing your gut. They're your workforce. Prebiotics, on the flip side, are specific types of indigestible fiber. Basically, prebiotics are the food that sustains your workers. If you're constantly taking probiotics but skipping the prebiotics, you're essentially dropping a workforce into a completely barren wasteland with zero food. They're just not going to survive.
But when you do feed those bugs the right food, pure magic. They start producing things called short-chain fatty acids. Basically, when your gut microbiome breaks down viscous prebiotic fiber, they pump out these incredibly beneficial compounds, like butyrate. It's this beautiful bidirectional symbiotic system. You feed your gut bugs, and they pay you back by lowering your cholesterol, stabilizing your blood sugar, and fueling your gut lining to squash inflammation. Let's move to and see how this builds. Section 4. Top fermented probiotic foods. From global kitchens straight to your gut. Let's bring all this science straight into the kitchen with a seriously diverse global menu. And the best part? These are cheap and super accessible. Take kefir, for example. It's a fermented milk drink that's actually way stronger than standard yogurt because it packs more diverse strains of bacteria. Then you've got kimchi, a Korean staple that's amazing for reducing inflammation, though, just keep an eye on the salt. From traditional Indian kitchens, we have idli and dosa. These are fermented grain batters that are incredibly easy on the digestive system. There's also curd, or dahi, which cools the stomach and eases acidity. And kanji, a fermented black carrot drink that's phenomenal for digestion. You really don't need a random pill when you have this kind of delicious, everyday food available.
Section 5. essential prebiotic fiber foods, fueling the ecosystem. Let's look at the other half of the equation.
So remember, our golden rule, you can't just put good bugs in your gut, you literally have to feed them. And spoiler alert, not all fiber is created equal. We have different categories here, and diversity is absolutely key. You've got viscous fiber in things like oats and kiwis that forms a gel in your gut to keep you full and lower cholesterol. Then there's resistant starch in lentils and beans, which actually bypasses the small intestine entirely just to feed the microbes deep in your colon. And finally, polyphenols in berries and walnuts, which directly boost the really healthy bacteria strains. You basically want a diet that hits all these different tracks.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how incredibly affordable and versatile this stuff is. Oats, specifically rolled or steel cut, so we skip the added sugars, are dirt cheap and loaded with beta-glucan. Lentils, another massive nutritional powerhouse that costs pennies but actively lowers insulin resistance. Berries and walnuts are fantastic for enhancing those short-chain fatty acids we talked about earlier. And then, of course, we have prunes and kiwis, which are absolute lifesavers for your basic digestive mechanics. Let's actually put a spotlight on prunes versus kiwis for a second, because your gut health strategy absolutely must be tailored to your specific symptoms. Prunes pull water into your intestine. Well, the sorbitol in them does, making them incredibly effective for constipation. But a quick heads up, they are super calorie dense. If you sit and eat a whole bag, you're looking at a huge calorie spike. Kiwis, on the other hand, have been shown in trials to be just as effective as psyllium husk for improving bowel regularity, but with a much lower calorie footprint. And hey, if you have irritable bowel syndrome where you actually need less water in your gut, you'd want to skip the prunes entirely. Specific symptoms require specific solutions.
Section 6. Building your gut habit. Slow and steady wins the race.
Okay, so we know the science, we've got the grocery list, now for the action plan. Listen closely, because the single biggest mistake people make here is going way too fast. Do not, I repeat, do not go from a low-fiber diet straight into eating a massive bowl of lentils overnight. If you do, you're going to get severe bloating, gas, and you'll probably think, oh, these healthy foods just don't agree with me. No, it's like being a couch potato for a decade and then trying to deadlift 300 pounds on your first day at the gym. You're going to get hurt. Step 1. Start by adding just one fermented food, since they're usually easier to tolerate. Step 2. Add one fiber food, but keep the portions small. Step 3. Baby steps. Slowly increase those portions over a few weeks to let your body adapt.
You've got to remember, you're feeding an ecosystem here, not just yourself. You are literally the host to trillions of microscopic living organisms that dictate so much of your physical and mental well-being. This bidirectional symbiotic system thrives on consistency, and it thrives on dietary diversity. Taking care of those microbes through the foods we just talked about, that's not just some passing diet trend. It is literally the ultimate form of self-care.
Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. If you found this deep dive valuable and want to keep exploring the science of health with us, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and definitely press that bell icon so you don't miss a thing. Also, if you happen to be looking for exceptional physical therapy or emergency pain relief treatments, be sure to check out Dr. Gangadhar Physiotherapy and Rehabilitation Center using the link provided. So considering those trillions of microbes literally waiting for their next meal right now, what single ingredient are you going to add to your plate tomorrow to remodel your health? Take care of your gut, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you next time.